Economics has to do with two primary areas of concern. One, allocation of resources to meeting needs and creating value, and two, influencing patterns of human behavior. Our current global economic system is not only broken with regards to both goals, but is unstable and rapidly self-terminating. The problems originate at the level of its core axioms. So retrofits, e.g. gold back the dollar or replace it with a crypto equivalent, reinstate Glass-Steagall, etc., to the current system still fail. The level of technological advances that have contributed to modern economics' instability also change many of the foundational axioms upon which it was built. For example, technological automation replacing the labor economy and changing the need for extrinsic incentives, digital value being non-scarce, computer science innovations, blockchain, public key, cryptography, dive merge, etc., offering solutions to critical issues in game theory, Byzantine generals, etc., intellectual property, partial attribution, etc., and information fidelity and access, high signal-to-noise ratio, distributed sense-making, etc. The sensor and data science capacity to maintain a real-time balance sheet of the global commons, the complexity science and technological capacity for closed-loop regenerative technology ecosystems, etc. Economics is a facet of societal architecture inseparable from culture, governance, law, defense, information systems, education, infrastructure, human development, etc. These systems co-evolve and co-influence each other. They are currently all fundamentally inadequate to the scope, urgency, and nature of the issues and dynamics civilization now faces and must undergo a discrete phase shift to axiomatically restructured high-order systems. The emergence of a new adequate system of economics and attendant systems requires three interrelated areas of focus. 1. Developing and implementing transitional systems that are intelligible to and can interface with the current system while vectoring towards post-transitional systems. 2. The development of post-transitional systems that emerge from the transitional systems and are adequate to the long-term needs of a civilization with the degree of anthro-complexity and exponential technology we are facing. And 3. Protective work to ensure that none of the catastrophic scenarios made possible by and incented by the current system come to pass. These three taken together, following the criteria outlined below, constitute a necessary and sufficient set of activities to ensure humanity's survival and increased thriving into the foreseeable future. For all systems of structural incentive, the incentive of an actor, individual or group, must be rigorously aligned with the well-being of all other agents in the system and of the commons at large, i.e., all externalities must be internalized. All consequences of activity within the system must be included in the system's accounting. Regarding resource allocation between different groups or metrics, the system must orient towards synergistic dialectical synthesis rather than theory of trade-offs, i.e., all fundamentally desirable, meaningful qualities must be factored as design constraints of the system, e.g., choices that benefit quality of life now and increasing quality of life into the future, simultaneously local and global benefit of local and global choices, simultaneously increased individual freedom and interconnectedness, etc. Any of these not well supported by the system will lead to the system's failure. Taken as dialectics that constitute design criteria that can be synergistically benefited by higher-order synthesis solutions, the system vectors towards progressively more abundance and less scarcity, whereas trade-off theory seeking optimization points, Nash equilibria, etc., in the allocation of scarce resources fails for several reasons. 1. With increasing complexity, it vectors towards increasing scarcity. 2. It inexorably misaligns agents who are more identified with different goals. 3. It is impossible to actually find the optimization points in highly complex systems, etc. It must disincentive all activity that could lead towards catastrophic existential threats, intentionally or unintentionally. Must not incent local or near-term positives that increase probability of global or long-term negatives. This is particularly critical to get right regarding the incentives on the development of exponential technologies. It must orient towards supporting the intrinsic motivation of individuals, including the intrinsic drives to connect, collaborate, and contribute, and decreasing the need for extrinsic motives. The economic system cannot not be a source of human conditioning. As such, it must condition towards omni-consideration, and in no ways condition towards psychopathy. It must simultaneously condition agency, uniqueness, self-actualization with communion, cooperation, care. It must condition consideration beyond the Dunbar number, similar to how Buddhism or Jainism achieved reliable abstract empathy deeply enough to determine behavior. Just as it must condition increasing personal intelligence, care, capacity, etc., it must also support the evolution of collective intelligence, capacity, and coherence at all scales. This economic system will be inextricably interconnected with new systems of governance, collective choice-making, law, collective choice enforcing, intelligence, collective sense-making, infrastructure, collective need-meeting, worldview, collective coherence, and values. This system must co-emerge with those systems and support their ongoing development rather than interfere with or subsume them. Documents on the necessary criteria of these other systems and how they interface to come. It must be anti-fragile, factoring distributed exponential technology, and insofar as it influences technology development, its influence must factor the relationship between technology, people, and the natural world, and between information, choice-making processes, and choice impact potential, and incent the development of increasing whole systems reliance over the development of dominance capacity within the ecosystem. It must not be capturable. All forms of value must be accounted for in the system. It must not reduce critical complex information to fit simplified models. It must not make non-fungible realities fungible. Perverse incentives. Must structurally obsolete all perverse incentives. Economic advantage from managing problems creates a bias to maintain the problems, suppress solutions that could actually obsolete the problems and even increase the problems, e.g. military-industrial complex and false flag operations, prison-industrial complex, healthcare, etc. Valuing things in relationship to their scarcity leads to maintaining and artificially manufacturing scarcity rather than seeking to obsolete it. Corporate market competition incentivizes hoarding, IP preventing knowledge synthesis, hoarding limited resources, radical duplication, manipulative marketing, intentional disinformation to competitors, etc. Economics' interface with the legal system is bidirectionally corrupt. Companies using courts for financial advantage and judges, lawyers, politicians getting rewarded by companies for ruling, bidding in their interest. The commons not having a balance sheet rewards ecological externalities and competitively penalizes internalizing costs. Race to the cliff scenarios where non-cooperative gaming dynamics lead to pursuing local maximums that lead to global minimums, e.g. an arms race. Interest-driving expansion of the monetary supply, driving unsustainable growth of the materials economy and rewarding hoarding. cannot avoid structures that offer asymmetric economic advantage: fractional reserve banking, derivatives, exploiting digital tech with exponential return potential over physical tech, etc. Short-term optimization and terms of influence: government officials focused on things they can better before re-election, corporate directors focused on quarterly profits to keep their jobs, etc., leading to radical nearsightedness and mortgaging the future. Reductionistic value metrics that maximize externality to optimize for the movement of relatively meaningless metrics. First mover advantage with new innovative tech incenting speed over due diligence, which leads to a race to market on increasingly more powerful and less familiar technologies, with radically more possibility for unanticipated catastrophic third and fourth order effects, with little time able to be invested in securing against them. Ownership. Private ownership, leading to inexorably widening wealth gaps and all the problems of economic inequality. Conditioning comparison, selfishness, greed, jealousy, envy, social posturing, decreased honesty, decreased empathy, psychopathy, leading to disempowering hierarchies and the commoditization of people, etc. Radical goods duplication and owned resources neither in use or in circulation. Asymmetric power potential decoupled from good decision-making. Ultimately, all the perverse incentives require private ownership and would cease without it. Valuation. Valuing things relative to their scarcity optimizes for scarcity and away from abundance. Combined with private ownership, this gives rise to win-lose gaming dynamics. Valuing things that are scarce independent of actual utility leads to decreased system utility holistically, e.g. cut down a forest to mine the gold under it and put it in underground vaults that provide no real utility to anyone, only fiat value. Valuing people's time radically asymmetrically, leading to inevitable disempowerment hierarchies. Not valuing the commons, leading to an extractionary, commoditizing, externalizing system that with exponential population and technology leads inevitably to biosphere collapse. Relative valuation based on economic advantage, possibly over real quality of life enrichment potential, e.g. income potential of venture capitalists and corporate lawyers compared to teachers or nurses, or precious gems and metals compared to food and clean air, leading to systemic incentive away from foundational quality of life areas.